Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon where you are in the world, and welcome to today's webinar, SAP HANA, If Not Now, When? Turn the hype into reality. Learn how you can benefit from SAP HANA in days. Hosted by SAP Insider and presented by Bramisol and Secure24. I'm Steve Paul, and I'm your moderator today. We have just a few announcements before we begin. You may maximize and minimize all elements of your console, from the slide area to the speaker bios, Q&A, and resource box by clicking on the blue or green icons in the upper right-hand corner of each box. If you do minimize an element and want to see it again, just click on the icon running across the bottom of your console. This webinar is designed to be interactive between you and our presenters, and later in the program we will ask for your feedback. You can participate in our Q&A session by asking questions about the information presented in this webinar at any time. Just type your question into the Q&A text box located below the speaker bios on the left, and then click the Submit button. We'll answer as many questions as time permits after the presentation. You may enlarge the slide window at any time by clicking on the green icon in the upper right-hand corner of the slide area. Slides will advance automatically throughout the event. And you can also download a copy of our presentation by clicking in the resource box in the bottom left of our console. At this time, we recommend you disable your pop-up blockers. If you're experiencing any technical problems, please visit our webinar help guide by clicking on the Help ? Icon on the bottom right of our console. And if slides are not advancing, please press the F5 key on your keyboard to refresh your console. And now on to our presentation, SAP HANA, If Not Now, When? Discussing today's topic will be first John Ripma, who is the technical writer of Secure24. And we also have John Froelich, Vice President of Bramisol. First, we'll hear from John Froelich.
Thank you, Steve. Everyone, I am so excited to be speaking with you today because I get to talk about this tremendous innovation, the SAP HANA platform. HANA is more than just a database. It's a launch pad for business transformation that provides a platform for database, analytics solutions, and predictive analytics. Steve, could we have the agenda slide, please? It allows you to run smarter, faster, and simpler. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Our goal for today is to address these key topics. Number one, HANA, is it hype or reality? What is SAP HANA? What makes HANA so fast? Why wait? HANA is for now. How can it help you, the business manager, the business leader? We'll talk about some real-world scenarios that real people are using today. We'll talk about how you can begin to use SAP HANA, how you can get started right away, and as Steve mentioned to everyone, we will introduce some Q&A at the end of this so that we can have an interactive presentation. Next slide, please. I told you I was excited about SAP HANA, but I'm also excited to talk about the partnership of Bramisol and Secure24. Bramisol is a full-service SAP Gold partner offering software, services, consulting, and support across the SAP platform, including ERP, Cloud, and of course SAP HANA. We have deep industry knowledge for businesses large and small, with leading expertise in areas such as revenue recognition, consume to cash, and a wide variety of manufacturing applications. But most importantly, we have a strong, growing SAP HANA practice constantly looking for and adding top talent. Secure24 is an industry leader in hosted solutions for companies large and small across the U.S. Secure24 is a premier provider of managed IT operations, hosting, and cloud services, providing highly available environments and expert management and support for your business-critical applications. Together, the partnership of Bramisol and Secure24 can bring you the power of SAP HANA quickly and cost-effectively. But let's take a moment. We need the previous slide. Thank you. Let's take a moment to talk about the hype versus the reality. Some people who are in the red would tell you that there are a lot of myths about SAP HANA. The first myth is that it isn't enterprise ready. This is simply not true. In fact, as you will see later in our discussion, there are over 24 LOB-focused solutions built to run on SAP HANA. And over 1,000 companies, as big as Burberry, Coca-Cola, and Procter & Gamble, use SAP HANA to drive their business. But many smaller companies take advantage of SAP HANA too to increase their competitiveness. Some people would have you believe that SAP HANA uses proprietary hardware. This is simply false. The hardware is not proprietary. It uses x86 hardware and is available from a number of companies such as IBM, HP, Dell, and others. SAP HANA does not support multi-tenancy. Again, false. It does. SAP by Design, Ariba, and SuccessFactors all run on SAP HANA and all are multi-tenancy. It is disruptive to business. Really? The facts are that SAP HANA implementation can be done in weeks and done in parallel to existing environments to minimize disruption. The only disruption you will find is the tremendous transformations to your business that are possible with SAP HANA. SAP HANA is only for SAP applications? Again, not true. It is a database, and it supports other ERP or analytics solutions. Now, it performs at its best when paired with SAP solutions that have been optimized for SAP HANA, but it can be used to great impact with other applications. And the final one that we've heard about is it uses an old concept of columnar store. Okay, that is true. It is over 20 years old, but if you have something that works and can be optimized, then you should do it. As I stated earlier, SAP HANA is three things. It's a database, an analytics platform, and a predictive platform. And it lets you run smarter, faster, and simpler. But it's not just about what HANA can do. Rather, it's about what HANA can do for you. For example, SAP HANA is all about process transformation. It's about enabling new business models and new opportunities. It allows you to transform processes to enable new insights powered by real-time data that is deep and insightful. It provides real-time business insights that allow you to sense and respond faster and be nimbler to the marketplace. It helps you analyze information in real time at unprecedented speeds on large volumes of non-aggregated data. It's a foundation for a new category of applications, planning simulation, to significantly outperform current applications in the category. It helps you reduce infrastructure costs. Well, it's a new box and new solutions. How does it do that? Well, I'll tell you. It helps you minimize data applications. It reduces hardware costs, and it optimizes the use of IT staff. It does this by taking away some of the slower, more complex areas of your infrastructure. It allows queries to happen ad hoc and driving the use of your systems to the user. SAP HANA is comprised of 5 pieces. Essentially, the SAP HANA accelerators, which allow you to supercharge your key processes, whether it is profitability analytics, advanced planning and optimization, supply chain or demand signal management. You'll get faster, smarter, and deeper insights when powered by SAP HANA. SAP HANA Analytics is the marriage of the most robust analytics platform in the world, including BI, EPM, EIM, and GRC, with the world's fastest data platform. Imagine the incredible insights that you can get when using SAP Business Analytics combined with SAP HANA. In BW, SAP HANA allows you to take traditional BW and supercharge it. Structured data, unstructured data, megabytes, gigabytes, or petabytes from sources like Twitter or any other online application, you can quickly process with lightning speed millions and millions of records, giving you tremendous insights. SAP HANA provides a platform for companies and partners to develop their own applications. For example, Bramisol's customer retention and analytics solution that allows you to gain real-time insights into things like customer retention and churn. And finally, the SAP Business Suite powered by SAP HANA. You can run your entire business at lightning speed by combining the power of SAP HANA with SAP Business Suite. But that's enough about what HANA can do. You probably would like to know exactly what is HANA, because it's more than simply hardware, it's more than simply software. John Ribmick, can you share with our audience what is SAP HANA?
Sure. I'd be happy to. That was a good overview. I, like John, am very excited about HANA. It's opening up a lot of new opportunities. It's showing us a way forward in actually what is called actionable analytics, and it's actually opened up so many new doors that people are not almost able to understand how to open up all of them at once. There's just so much going on. But for those of you who have studied HANA a little bit, who have had a chance to get familiar with it a little bit, I'm going to stay at a very high level for the folks that may not understand what HANA is and how it works. But let me just start off with just a very simple, what is HANA? And it is an appliance, and that means it's a box. It's a computer, and it comes in three sizes. It comes in small, medium, and large, and it is something that is intended to be a component within an integrated system. So it's a database. It has its applications built into it, as well as the in-memory computing capability. And it's all housed in a single box. And as John mentioned, that computer is manufactured by reputable manufacturing firms within our industry, all of which are following specific standard guidelines. And those guidelines enable SAP to optimize the software. HANA is software also. And it allows them to optimize that software so that it will run more efficiently and more effectively on those various those pieces of hardware. It is there are a lot of people think that the software and the hardware are separate, and of course they are, but they are optimized to work together. And what does it mean to be optimized? It means that the hardware, which is built to follow certain standards, engineering standards, and the software communicate with one another and in a way that ordinary software cannot do. And that means that it really happens at the coding and the development level of the software. So whether it's improving cache, improving the way that the software processes text and parses, all of that is actually built into the software because it has a deep understanding of how the hardware works. So that's optimized. The hardware is also multi-core CPUs, has multi-core so that you can have multiple processors going at one time, which increases the speed. It requires a 64-bit memory, of course, and that really opens up the door for so much more data to be processed that having access to data or having data is never a problem with HANA. And it also has a 10 gigabyte Ethernet card, which is incredibly fast as well. And the software is optimized in light of the fact that it's got a columnar store type of database, which has already been mentioned. That columnar store, incidentally, allows for tremendously high levels of compression, which really maximizes the amount of storage that you have that's built into HANA already, because you can compress it. It also works with the CPU and the memory, so that the CPU and the memory itself are optimized and working together. It allows for partitioning of the memory, and what that means is that in order to efficiently use the data that's in there so that that data can be accessed, it essentially organizes the data, or allows you to organize the data so that it would make sense to a human being, in terms of names and first name, last name, address, things like that. You can partition sections of the of the memory so that it's even quicker to be able to access key pieces of information. You also don't need to have aggregate cables as you do with like a relational database. With software the way it's written and built, it allows you to go directly into this database without having to draw out small subsets of the data and aggregate it. It opens up the entire database the way that it's built, that you can go right to it and use the data modeling tool in order to gather the information that you need. And finally, there's insert on delta only, which means that it just, when something changes, then it will insert the data. Otherwise, it will leave it the same. All right, let's just take a look at really answer the question, why is HANA so fast? If you look at the chart right there, there's two basic components. One is the volatile memory, and the other is the non-volatile memory. And many of you probably know that the volatile memory is only active when it has power. So the CPU register, the CPU cache, as well as RAM, that is all volatile memory, so that when it loses power, that goes away. The non-volatile or long-term storage is, of course, the hard disk or flash drive or other types of ways that we can store data. Now, with HANA and in-memory computing, the computing primarily takes place, or the database is loaded into RAM, so that even though it does use the register and the cache like it always would, it's using the RAM, which is so much faster than having to access data from the hard disk. And the other thing is that the CPU register and CPU cache are both pieces of memory that actually are on the CPU, so they're extremely fast as well. So that you've got the RAM, the CPU cache, and the CPU register, which are optimized to work with one another, which by its very nature makes it extremely fast. Actually, we need to really go back to John now for a discussion of SAP HANA is for now. John?
Thank you, John Rittma. I appreciate that. SAP HANA is for now. It's enterprise ready, it's non-disruptive, it's a game changer. SAP HANA is a transformative business platform for your applications, analytics, and database technologies. It empowers you to do things you could only imagine were possible before. It will speed up your normal business, save money on infrastructure and ad hoc reporting, but most importantly, SAP HANA, it's a platform for transformation of your business. But that's great. But most of my clients want to know, hey John, what can SAP HANA do for my business? I get that it's fast, I get that it's really cool technology and it does all these great things, but what can it do for me? The plant manager, the finance guy, or so on. Well, as you can see from this chart, SAP HANA has over 24 LOB-ready applications for key lines of business. Businesses sections including finance, marketing, procurement, manufacturing, HR, R&D can all benefit in some way, shape, or form from SAP HANA. But we're going to talk about 3 specific areas. We're going to focus, number 1, on finance. We'll take you through a scenario with a finance manager. We'll talk about marketing and humanize that for you. And finally, we'll talk about the possibilities with regard to manufacturing. the chances are that your data is really good. It's really not about more data. It's about taking the data that you have and making it more powerful. You don't need more data, as the chart says. What you need is smarter data, more insights, and to be able to do that faster, real time. Next chart. But how can you leverage the data better? What are you doing with the data? Is the data you're capturing providing insight to you? Can you predict the propensity of a customer to disengage before they hit unsubscribe? I know as the manager at AT&T of a large acquisition program, I would love to have been able to know before somebody was going to unsubscribe that I could come up with an offer. Wouldn't it be great to be able to fine-tune your offerings based on the data that you have and tailor preferences? Imagine that you could grab data and information from the web and present things real time. So is the data you're capturing truly actionable? HANA is really all about the what ifs. What if your management team had a bird's eye view of critical KPIs? What if they were able to drill down real time into actionable details with a couple of clicks? Today, many organizations have to go back and rebuild cubes. They have to go back and ask for additional information. Imagine that you could drill down on gigabytes of data instantaneously and really work through the problem yourself. Industry best practices, KPIs, and data structures come out of the box. So let's talk about the financial manager and analyst. Let's imagine that Bob is the finance manager at a company that sells hardware, software, and subscription services. They have thousands of customers on dozens of plans with complex billing and accounting needs. Bob wants to know, how do I aggregate multiple billing areas quickly and accurately? How will revenue recognition affect my bottom line? How do I measure and manage profitability at the product level when I have hundreds of products in dozens of channels across multiple geographies? Can SAP HANA help me do all of that? Next slide. With SAP HANA, you can deliver faster and more accurate convergent billing, for example. You can avoid aggregation of individual records from multiple sources to facilitate faster creation of consumption-based billing. So imagine that you can take billing down from days to hours, and you can provide it the way the customer wants to consume it. What would be the potential outcome? Customer satisfaction as the result of enhanced transparency into how they're being charged for consumption. Imagine what real-time access to all applicable invoices can mean to consolidated invoice processing. No more waiting for data sources to be processed for data and analytics to be processed and for mathematical algorithms to be applied. You can have all your information when you need it now. Imagine if you could predict what subtle changes in your revenue recognition scenarios and algorithms might do to your bottom line real time. You might be able to manage the difference between making the quarter's revenue and missing. Yes, SAP HANA is that fast and that powerful. Let me talk about the scenario of a marketing director or VP who wants to really understand things like customer churn. How can SAP HANA help him? Imagine that Alan is the CMO of an emerging wireless telco, and he's reviewing performance for the month and notes that while new customers are being added every month, revenue's flat, profit is down, he's concerned. He needs to get to the root cause of this immediately. Without a powerful analytics platform, Alan knows that it will be a very long weekend that I know all of us have been through, to work through spreadsheets, call the team together before the Monday morning senior staff meeting. He also knows that the first 15 to 20 minutes of that senior staff meeting are going to be taken up by the who's who of what are we doing? What version are you on? What version am I on? But what if Alan had a dashboard of KPIs at his fingertips? and access to real-time data, deep data analytics. Alan could uncover not only what is happening, but why it's happening. Alan needs actionable insights into the problem before a proper plan of attack can be developed. This is where the power of a 360-degree view of the customer can make all the difference. This is where the power of SAP HANA can be applied to your problems. Imagine having access to all the data, real time, and being able to cross-foot and manage and look at things in a real time to help you direct and understand why customers might be leaving. Applications running on SAP HANA, such as Bramisol's Customer Retention and Analytics platform and application, can provide real-time insights over millions of customers and billions of customer records. So imagine, for example, that you could provide the right customer offer automatically. Imagine that you could provide exactly the right offer at the right time at the right price. Many companies strive to differentiate themselves from the competition by becoming more and more relevant to their customers and improving overall customer experience. Personalized and customized offers, products and services is a key capability that can be easily differentiated through SAP HANA. You can also do predictive and statistical models as highlighted here. You can run individual offers, orders real time. You can have automated offer creation within a defined framework. So using automated algorithms and the deep power of SAP HANA, you could learn about somebody's preferences and their buying habits in the past. You could automatically go out and using the unstructured data of their Twitter feeds, learn about the next product that they might want to buy. Wouldn't that be a powerful offer for upsell and cross-sell or bundling to retain that customer? The improved uptake of offers and customer loyalty will drive profitability. All of this is possible through SAP HANA. Companies with this unique capability will continue to outperform the competition and stay more relevant to their customers while increasing their overall revenue. Imagine for a moment that you could have real-time visibility into campaign performance. As a marketer, we always are asking the questions, I know that half of my marketing is working really well, I just don't know which half. You could see the big picture of advertising and promotion performance. Imagine that you could have an entire list of all of the different campaigns, all of the different advertising responses, and that real time you could see how different things might change how that works. You could see how each campaign is performing against plan. Even large campaigns in various environments, whether it's in the social network or traditional media such as direct mail, email, etc., all of these can be aggregated to provide you a real-time picture so you can make real-time changes. You could tie revenue to each campaign and get the ROI of each marketing campaign. Let me take a minute to talk about my friend Tom here. Tom is the operations manager for a plant. And Tom wants to understand what's going on. He's got available to promise. He wants to meet large demand, profitability, and predict delivery. He wants to know what inventory should I stock and which parts are failing most frequently. Tom also wants to know, what if I could do manufacturing planning based on customer sentiment and internet feedback? Next slide. So Tom can rapidly simulate manufacturing inventory and distribution plans. He could have real-time insight into customer manufacturing inventory, production, distribution of bulk commodities on-site and planned through the distribution network. How can this be enabled? SAP HANA is capable of handling millions of records so that it allows you to analyze current planned production capabilities and distribution. Imagine, for example, that Doug calls Tom and says, I have the largest deal we could ever make, but I need to know whether or not I can sell this product tomorrow at the price the customer wants and I can commit to delivery. In the past, Doug would have to wait for an answer from Tom. They'd have to run a whole bunch of scenarios and hope that the millions of records didn't time out. The reality of using SAP HANA on an available-to-promise process allows you to process hundreds of millions of records in 3 seconds, allowing Tom to really understand what his inventory is, to make decisions about what he can and cannot produce, and call Doug back within a matter of a half an hour and say, Doug, book the order because we have a chance to make these products for you. This is what SAP HANA can do for you. Next slide. So let me summarize a little bit of this. We talked about the finance operations. We talked about the ability to close books in weeks previously, but with SAP HANA, you can close your books in hours and minutes. You can take a look at revenue recognition real time. You can look into your profitability at the lowest levels to understand specifically what it is that your products are returning. Whether you have hundreds of products, thousands of products, and multiple channels, you have real-time view into what is going on. Instead of best guess offers based on weeks or months-old data, SAP HANA can provide real-time analytics driving timely offers. And by using tools such as the Bramisol customer retention and analytics solution, you can do that real-time and push offers out to customers real-time, understanding churn dynamics, understanding retention dynamics, and improve your profitability, your revenue, and making your business that much nimbler. You can move from weekly or daily production scheduling to demand-sensitive real-time production floor management. As we saw with Tom and Doug, you can look at your existing inventory and really understand what your capabilities are and move around to make sure that you are providing products cheaply, profitably, and that you can do what your customer needs for you. So I guess you can see why I'm excited about SAP HANA, but in some cases, let me tell you, companies are experiencing anywhere from 40 to 1,000 times increases in the speeds they're seeing. They are able to process millions, sometimes billions of records in a matter of seconds. They can consolidate complex corporate structures in hours instead of weeks, run complicated billing scenarios in seconds, or predict manufacturing runs that optimize inventory, plant capacity, and profit multiple times in a night. One customer said, we were able to, within the first few weeks of implementing SAP HANA, bring in financial information right away and perform analyses that before would simply time out. It would time out after 24 hours. Sometimes it might return. Sometimes it just wouldn't return. Those analyses now return within 3 to 3.5 seconds, according to ARI IT Director Bill Powell. So again, it's not just because of how fast SAP HANA is, but because of what it can do for my clients and what I've seen it do for my clients and what it can do for you. SAP HANA, folks, is a platform for transformation of your business. The only limits to SAP HANA are really your imagination. So John, we've gotten people excited about SAP HANA and what it can do for them. Talk to them about how they can get SAP HANA and what the easiest ways are for them to engage with us.
Sure. Be happy to. This next slide, we're asking the question, how can you move forward with SAP HANA? And I've really provided 6 thoughts here for us to consider. And they're somewhat in sequence. In fact, they are in sequence, I think, as far as the thought process might go. Let's start with number 1. The first thing that the clients that we've worked with have to do is to identify some potential uses for SAP HANA. As I mentioned earlier, I used the door analogy where there's just so many doors opening, but we still have to pick 1 or 2 that really make good sense and where there's value if we do actually use HANA to try to resolve some problem or to increase efficiencies, whatever the case might be. So step one is you really need to identify potential uses for SAP HANA. Step two is to build a high-level business case. I think we're all familiar with that process. Step three is to create an SAP HANA test environment. And that's where I'll be speaking about this in just a minute, but that's where having a hosted environment will actually save you a lot of time and money, because we've already built the flexible, elastic type of environments that you can leverage if you so choose in order to test out your ideas and to test to see if it actually will solve the problems you want to solve. Number four is to then perform a proof of concept once you've got that set up, evaluate the results, and then, of course, after you get that back, you can make a go, no-go decision if you want to move forward with a full implementation of HANA. Waiting for the next, there it is. Let's speak a minute about the how to consume HANA, or HANA's availability. There are really three primary ways that you could get HANA. The first two up there are SAP HANA 1, and there's also a HANA 1 Premium, and SAP HANA Cloud Application Services. Both of those points are provided for you by SAP. And SAP HANA 1 is a subscription type of service that SAP is providing. And it's primarily for testing out or doing some development work on a very small scale. The next one is SAP HANA Cloud Application Services. And this is SAP offering this to be able to access HANA and all of the applications that they choose to host. But it isn't really a full, complete service. It's somewhat limited, but it is accessible in a cloud-type environment, and it is provided by SAP. It does come with full support as well. The next one down is the third bullet point is SAP HANA Enterprise Cloud Private Instance hosted off-premises, and BYOL means bring your own license. Incidentally, the second bullet point of SAP Cloud Application Services is also bring your own license. So you would acquire the license for whatever size that you're looking for. As I mentioned, there's a small, medium, and large, and you make that decision. And then in our particular case, that's what Secure 24 provides, is a private enterprise cloud, and we would take your license and we would put it out into the cloud and make it accessible to you. The last one in green is SAP on-premises, of course. And if you so choose, you can purchase the appliance or the licenses to the appliance and bring it in-house yourself, install it, and run it just as you would any other appliance. So those are the basically three primary ways that you can consume HANA. Okay, the next consideration for us really is kind of a diagram, I guess you might say, of what HANA looks like in a cloud. If you notice, there are actually 5 of the brown boxes and 1 green one. The lower left-hand box, brown box, is the HANA Cloud Platform, which in our particular case at Secure 24, we have that built already. So it's ready to go. It's elastic. It can be had to install your appliance in, and we're ready to actually start working with it. The 2 boxes on top of that, the smaller boxes, brown boxes, are the different applications that you might be running on SAP HANA. And the first are on the left-hand side are the solutions that actually come with HANA. A number of those like Business Warehouse, the NetWeaver Business Warehouse, Business Objects, CRM, There's a variety of them from SAP that you might want to use. And then the middle, smaller brown box, those would be custom developed applications. And every day there's more and more applications being built for SAP HANA, whether it's to access mobility, to do a variety of different kinds of things, but they're being built on a massive scale right now. And the brown box on the far right-hand side, those are the managed services. So a complete package of a cloud environment would involve the hardware and the infrastructure, of course, the software, which is SAP HANA, and it would provide the services that you need in order to maintain those, to actually onboard them, to manage them on a regular basis, to handle any sort of help desk, provide disaster recovery, all of the features that you're going to need for any enterprise class system. And then the green box is one of the things that really makes SAP HANA so different than anything else, and that is the in-memory capability and the in-memory infrastructure. And that does take a certain amount of expertise from a services standpoint to manage that, and it certainly takes a certain amount of infrastructure, type of infrastructure, to really make that work properly. Okay, next slide. Let's talk about the flexibility, because when it comes to cloud computing, it really is all about flexibility and cost, of course. But there's 4 major bullet points there that I want to highlight for you. And that one, from a Secure 24 standpoint, we offer full technical support, as I mentioned. That is before, during, and after implementation. We have a full range of elastic infrastructure services. And with our platform, the way we have it built out right now, it can be either a private cloud, it can be a hybrid cloud. There's a lot of flexibility that you get with a full service type of cloud that we provide. We can also help you get started on this in a smaller way. You can begin with a pilot, and then you can move that pilot into a full implementation if you so choose to go that way. And the fourth bullet point there is, as I mentioned, we can provide either of those kind of clouds. What we don't provide, though, is a public cloud. And at the point that we're at right now, I don't think there is anything really like a public cloud for HANA. Let's talk about the out-of-the-box benefits you get from hosting. Something that really almost every company can use is the global nature that we are today, that you would like to be able to access HANA from anywhere in the world with the data centers and with high-speed internet connections or MPLS connections, whatever the case might be. We've got a lot of options for hosting your data and making it accessible to anyone anywhere in the world. We can also customize services, and it seems that there isn't any what I would call cookie-cutter HANA implementation. There's always some customization, some changes, some unique needs that need to be addressed. And with the capabilities that we have, of course, we can do that. End-to-end accountability, and that really speaks to what I call peace of mind, that you're not just handing off the capability or outsourcing something that you don't have the capability to do. You're actually partnering with somebody who's accountable and understands that you can't outsource liability, you can't or outsource responsibility, but you can outsource the hardware, the services. And a company like Secure 24, we understand that, and so we share the accountability from an end-to-end perspective. Our data centers also, of course, meet virtually every U.S. compliance guideline. As mentioned, they're HIPAA, SSAE 16, which used to be SAS 70, SOC 1 Type 2, Sarbanes-Oxley, PCI, which is payment card industry, and a variety of others. So we've already gone to the step and to the expense to make sure that our data centers do comply with all of those guidelines. Okay. Let me go back here. I think this last slide from me is really to help you understand if you are interested in taking some baby steps or some major steps, depending on what your readiness is, but some options that you might look at in order to move forward. The first option is what we call a yellow pad discussion. And this is a way for you to identify potential SAP scenarios in your company. And we or Bramisol, either one of us, can help you with that. Number two is you can download a variety of white papers that have been written at Secure 24. Also, Bramisol has an SAP Hub, which you can visit. The website is listed there if you click on it when you download the PowerPoint. And, of course, SAP has their own SAP HANA website that gives you a lot of information. Or you can simply give us a call, and we'd be happy to discuss your needs and try to help you understand what would be a logical next step. So that's all for our slides, and I'd like to return control of the meeting back to Steve to discuss any questions that you might have. Steve?
Okay, well, great job, Johns, and thank you very much for excellent presentation. Before we go on with our audience Q&A, though, we'd like to ask if you could please fill out a feedback form survey that is now going to open on your desktop. Just to complete this form, press the Submit Question button at the bottom of the page, and we want to thank you in advance for filling out this form. Your participation in our survey will allow us to serve you better in the future. And now on to the question and answer portion of our event. As a reminder, to participate in the Q&A, just type your question into the text box located in the bottom of the media player, and then click the Submit Question button. And it looks like we do have time and we have a number of good questions here, so let's get started. First one for John Froelich. Can you please explain what it means to optimize the hardware and SAP HANA?
That's a great question, because I talked about the importance of the fact that the SAP applications run so much better on SAP HANA. What it really means is that the applications, both the HANA application and the SAP application, have utilized the existing structures that exist within SAP. And if you're familiar with it, the calls to the different tables and the way that the SAP ERP goes out, whether it's CRM, SCM, or whatever, it goes out and looks for data. What we have done is optimize the way that is done through HANA and allow it to be a fairly seamless process, so that really the biggest, very little change in terms of what happens. The real issues with regard to applications are the real application itself and how it works. But the way we have designed it, it's a very simple process. And if you are on ECC 6.0 or even 6.0 Enhancement Pack 6 or Enhancement Pack 7, they have been built in with those upgrades to optimize and use HANA optimally. So great question. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Here's a question for John Ribma. Could you or can you tell me a little bit more about how HANA plays with high availability disaster recovery?
Yes. Well, high availability and disaster recovery are actually two different things. High availability being the availability of the application on almost a minute-to-minute basis, so that if there's some sort of a disruption of usually a minor sort, a loss of power, something like that, for a temporary loss of power, that how quickly can it come back up? Generally speaking, you're looking at high availability in the 99.9 for the production version. It might be more like 98% for the non-production instance of SAP HANA. We can actually provide high availability based on what the need of the customer is. With HANA, generally speaking, 99.9% availability is good enough, because it's, generally speaking, not a production-related type of software. It's for analytics. And it's definitely utilizes the same technology and infrastructure that we have for providing high availability for all of our SAP, because we have hundreds of SAP instances that we are under our control and that we manage. But yes, there is. You would expect a high availability number of about 99.9, or it could go higher with the production instance of SAP HANA. Now, to just touch base on disaster recovery, that generally falls into the category of a disaster has happened or could happen, and how quickly can you get your system back up and running so that you can return to normal business operations. And in the case of SAP HANA, here again, the DR, disaster recovery plans that are put in place are also usually built around the business continuity plans for the entire company. But what we typically do is we have the production instance, it's sitting in one data center, and the non-production or QA or development instance sitting in a totally different data center. And so we can usually have those back up and running following a major disaster. If something was to happen to our data center, we could have that up and running anywhere between a few minutes if we wanted to actually mirror the two, or we could certainly have it up within 24 to 48 hours for DR.
If I might, that's a great answer. This is John Froelich. It's a great answer, and I was recently asked by one of my customers about the DR disaster recovery, and the reality is, again, as John pointed out, it's really all about you, the customer. It's how important is the data to you. We can either do a mirrored environment, we can do a backup system, or SAP HANA has built in different data backup strategies. So, great question. I know that a lot of people like to poke at SAP HANA and say they don't have an HADR strategy. The reality is we do. We have multiple tiers on it, and Bramisol and Secure24 can work with you to design the one that makes sense for your business.
Okay, thanks. We have time for a couple more, so let's try to get to these. One is from Francis. John Froelich, is it SOX compliant?
That's an interesting question. Yes, it is SOX compliant, but SOX compliance certainly has many things to do with how you use the data, how you set it up, but it absolutely is, and certainly, as we heard from John Ripma, if you decide to do it in a premise-based, a hosted, or a drink-as-you-go or SaaS-type model using the HANA Enterprise Cloud, SOX compliance is all built in.
Okay, and I see one last question from Narayan. In the future, will HANA be available, will be able to replace BI reports?
That's a great question, Narayan. I don't know that HANA replaces BI reports per se. You still would be using something like HANA Design Studio, or you would be using a business objects or BI function on top of HANA. The idea is that it's built all into one thing that you can then go purchase and run. So I wouldn't say it replaces per se BI reports. If you think of BI reports in the traditional sense of creating a business warehouse or a data warehouse, pulling from different aggregated cubes or creating data aggregation tables or doing all of that stuff, yes, in that case, HANA can and will replace traditional BI-type reporting where it's needed and eventually certainly long-term. But I would say, business analytics, BI, whether you're talking about business intelligence, EPM, EIM, any of those things, again, HANA is an enabler to allow you to do it deeper, faster, and smarter.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, that is all the time we have for today's live broadcast and Q&A session. So if we didn't get to your question during this live session, someone will follow up with you over the next few business days. And for more information, we want to leave you with some contact information that is here before you. And we want to thank you all for attending today's webinar, SAP HANA, If Not Now, Then When, hosted by SAP Insider and presented by Bramisol and Secure24. Shortly after this live event, we'll send you an email reminder so you can access this presentation on demand. And on behalf of our guests, John Ripma, Technical Writer with Secure24, and John Froelich, Vice President with Bramisol, we want to thank you all for your time and have a great day.